Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to host two medalists from the World Championship in Patagonia, the 35th World Mountain Running Championship. Silver medalist from Italy, Francesco Puppi, benvenuto.
Hi everyone.
And bronze medalist, ORIOL Cardona from Girona.
Hi. Hello everyone.
Okay, we are missing gold medalist, Jim Wamsley, but of course, you know, the States are in quite a tight spot these days. So, well, stay safe, Jim, and we will share the history of Francesco and ORIOL. So, Francesco, how is confinement these days in Italy? Because Italians and Spaniards, we share quite severe measures these days.
Yeah, it's been quite hard. Italy was one of the first European countries that was hit by the virus, and I think at first we didn't really understand how bad the situation would be, but there has been a very difficult situation here. So the government has imposed a lot of restrictions. And there were rules that were introduced progressively to limit the spread of the virus. Right now, the confinement is very strict because we're limited to go out just for primary needs, which are pretty much only grocery shopping, which is shopping for food. We're not allowed to do any physical activity. So right now, the only possibility for me is to train indoor. Yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah, I was talking recently with Michelle Poletti from Chamonix or Joe Gray in Colorado. They are both allowed to run outside, whereas you in Italy, or ORIOL, how is your confinement in Catalonia?
Yeah, here from the first day, there's been a big restriction. We can't go outside only for, as you said, for tobacco and for food. Yeah, and to walk with the pet, but anything more. Not for running, not for anything about sport. It was just primary necessity. So it's been like that from the first day. So only training indoors like you. I have I don't know how to say in English, a treadmill. It is
treadmill. Yeah, good.
Treadmill. Yeah, so I can train a little bit, and that's enough for me.
Okay. Well, Francesco, you may not be familiar. We had quite a laugh with a football player in Spain, Reguilón, former Real Madrid, who said that, running at 20 kilometers an hour is not that difficult. Remember, ORIOL?
Yeah.
So for how long?
What do you think? Maybe football players. Yeah. Okay, Francesco?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Maybe on the treadmill is easier. I don't know. But outside, I think I can run at that speed for about half an hour.
Yeah. Well, ORIOL, when you run on the treadmill, do you do 20 kilometers an hour?
No, 25. No, not because I was resting a lot, so I just started running like 1 week ago.
Okay.
So I really do short training, so not a lot of kilometers.
Okay. Well, for the fans over there, let us start with ORIOL. ORIOL comes from Catalonia. He was born July 10th, 94, if I remember correctly. Is that correct?
No, I think it was in October.
Okay. So then check with World Athletics. They don't have the right ORIOL Cardona.
Yeah, maybe it's another one.
Well, tell us about your background because, funny enough, Francesco, ORIOL is better known in Spain as a ski mountaineer, right?
Yeah. Since I was a little young, a little boy, I've been doing ski. It was like my principal sport, the important one. And it was like since 2 years ago that I started running in trail more seriously. And nothing, I did some good races in trail summer season, so I started running more often and doing more competitions in summer. But anyway, I've been also doing the skimo season during all these years. So I'm doing the boss season right now. So I mean, in winter I keep skiing, and in summer racing in trail. Yeah.
We will talk about that later. But Francesco, do you know that he was the only world championship contender that had been training for Patagonia at the Tiñes Glacier before the race? You were at Tiñes before Patagonia, right?
Yeah,
with the skis.
Yeah, I was in Tiñes with the skis, training with the Spanish skimo team. Yeah, it was 2 weeks, like skiing and running a little bit, and it was not a very specific preparation, but anyway, it was a really good training there.
Well, talk about cross training.
Yeah.
Super good. Yes.
Okay. Francesco, what would be your family background? Because you're a bit older than Oriol. You're from 92. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about your family and how you started running.
Yeah, so I've always been involved somehow in track and field. My background comes from track and field because I started running at 6-year-old in a local club. I must say that when I was a little child, I wasn't very good. My results didn't really support me, and going just for the passion, just because I loved running. But I wasn't one of the best. And it was once I got older that I tried mountain running, and my results improved both in mountain running and on the roads and on the track. And I love running on any surface. So I really like mountain running, and I think it's my main event. But I also like cross country and road, marathon and half marathon a lot, and that's what I do in the winter season mainly. So yeah, I've tried also different sports, for example, basketball and swimming, but running has always been a constant. I've never left running, so yeah, that's my main sport, and that's pretty much my background.
Well, we a few days we interviewed the classic race gold champions, which were Joe Gray from the States and Grayson Murphy. Remember, they got a double. Yeah. And I was surprised because sometimes people outside mountain running think that you are not fast. And Joe, he's over 30 years old, but he can, I mean, his personal best is something like 28:30 in a 10K. And Grayson was among one of the best runners in the States for the 3,000 meter steeplechase. Talk about different backgrounds and skills. For example, if we take the 10K as a standard reference, what would be your 10K personal best, Francesco?
So I ran 29:47 this winter, just before the competition stopped. Mm-hmm. And I think well, a lot of people maybe think that as mountain runners we only train in the mountains, but it's not true. Our focus is very much on speed and intensity of the workouts. So of course we do specific preparation for mountain running, but my main focus remains on speed. So I train like a middle distance runner or a marathon runner, and then I do specific workouts for the mountains. Yeah. But yeah, as mountain runners, we must be able to perform on the flat also, like do quality workouts.
And in the half marathon, we were discussing this. You may hit 1 hour 3. Is that correct?
I ran 1 hour 04 this winter.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Oriol, you coming from ski, I don't think you have run many street races. Have you ever run a half marathon?
No, I've never did any half marathon. Only 10Ks.
Okay, the 10K, I have here your time, if I remember correctly, for the Granollers 10K in October last year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's 30:23.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's good. I mean, how many 10K races had you done before?
Yeah, it was like my second one. I did one like 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And yeah, it was really fun because I've never trained specifically for flat races or like doing intervals in a track. So for me, it was nice to have a time of reference for example, for next year's, because I will be more focused on training more in flat than in uphill. Right now, I've been training all the summer, like doing a lot of up and downs, and that was one thing that I wanted to change a little bit this summer. I don't know if I can, because all of this, but that's something I want to improve. Yeah, my father comes from the athletics, and I know it's really important to work in the flat parts and the speed.
Well, for the fans that are watching us, let me tell you that Pau Capel did not consider striving for the Spanish team in Patagonia because he thought the race was too short and too fast for him because he was doing ultras. Pau Capel was the first Spaniard at the Barcelona Marathon among, I don't know, 20,000 people, Oriol, and he got 2 hours 29. Not slow.
Yeah, it's a good time. I don't really know about the times from men who are doing sky running and then running flat. I never did any marathon or any half marathon, so I can talk about that. Yeah, I think it's a good time.
Maybe you can get together with Kilian, who is now considering doing his first road marathon. Maybe it's a good time that you go out together.
It's not a good idea for me.
Okay, Francesco.
I must add that Kilian, this summer, he trained specifically on the road to prepare for Sierzinal, where he beat the record. And if you look at his workouts, he really focused on quality workouts on the flat. He was running maybe 2,030 kilometers per week. So he like a marathoner, and he did for example, track intervals and runs on the flat for the mountain days, and that's how he trained for the record. So that's important to point out.
Okay, now let's see. We have two different styles, two different backgrounds, but the same world podium. I think that's part of the beauty of mountain running. You know, you can have athletes from very different styles. So, Francesco, tell us, how did you prepare for the K42 in Patagonia? I mean, we knew that you were fast. We knew that the flat parts were your strong point. How did you train? Did you try to push that speed, or did you try to build endurance, or did you try to get some technical skills for those last 8-9 kilometers downhill?
Yeah. So I must say that I was coming from a difficult summer because I had some problems this summer, and I didn't perform as well as I thought. But fortunately, by September, I was back in a good shape. So I think I built up my endurance during the summer because I took part in longer races. For example, Pikes Peak Marathon, which I ran in August last year. So my endurance background was already good. So in the first part of the training for Patagonia, I tried to focus on speed and I took part in some shorter races, both on the road and in the mountains. So some short uphill races, for example, which were good. Then in the second part, I tried to practice more the transition from uphill to downhill, and to build the strength that is needed to perform in a long like a mountain style race. So probably in October, I focused on the long runs in the mountains, and also a couple of longer races to keep the intensity. I actually didn't look at specific training for the downhill. It just came naturally because of the training I did in the mountains. So maybe that's something I could work on, because of course I need to improve in the downhill, and the race in Patagonia also showed that. But all in all, I think it was a complete preparation, and it came out really well for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a wonderful race to watch. The duel that you had with Jim Wamsley, who was also probably in the best shape of his life because of what he did at Western States, what he did at Sierre-Sinal. But also it was a great race for ORIOL. ORIOL, how did you train? Because your training, we also said, was extremely unconventional for a mountain running world championship. So tell us,
Yeah,
because
that's true. Yeah, I didn't did like a specific preparation. When I knew that I was in the team for running in Patagonia, I was really motivated, and I was training a lot. It was November, December when we start on the pre-season in the Skimo. So it's a time that we are training a lot of hours, a lot of meters. So it was really easy for me to do a good preparation, even if it was not really specific. I was training with the Skimo team, national team, doing a lot of interval training. We've been in Sierra Nevada in altitude, and then 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks after. 2 weeks after, sorry. I mean, 2 weeks before the race, we've been training in Tinge. Yeah, it was in Eskimo, so it wasn't really specific, but anyway, we've been doing a lot of interval training with the team. So it's not a conventional training, but for the cardio, I think it's a really good option, because we were able to do a lot of hours and doing also intervals. So for me, I think Eskimo is a really good kind of a sport for training for mountain running. Yeah.
Okay. Now, as we were traveling to Patagonia, I think we all realized that we had probably, together with Sierre-Sinal, the highest competitive field of all the year. I mean, the American, it was kind of a USA dream team, because it was Jim Wamsley, but it was also Hayden Hawks. It was Mario Mendoza. I mean, a great, great team. Of course, they were, let's say, the favorite. Then, of course, Italy is always a superpower in mountain running. And you had a very complete, a very solid team, Francesco. And I was surprised, Oriol, that I was following all the teams, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, who always does very well, and I was surprised, Oriol, that people outside the Spanish team thought that our chances were not good, but I was convinced that you guys had the potential for a medal. How did you feel inside the team when you saw that several media or other people thought that the team was not very good? Did you feel disappointed, or did you feel, okay, wait and see?
Yeah. If I am sincere, I mean, it was the first time for me that I ran with all you guys there, I've never met with Papi or Jim, so I didn't really know about the level that I was going to find in Patagonia. So I really don't expect anything. I know I was strong. I know all the Spanish team was strong. So I didn't care a lot about the other opinions because I know there was some discrepant. I mean, people who really didn't understand why where like me was going there, or like Jan, because we are people from sky running, and I just didn't listen them and just focus in me, because I knew we were really strong team, so I didn't pay attention about all these opinions.
Well, Francesco, obviously, going for Italy in a mountain running race, you are always expected to win. It's the most important specialty in Italy as of off-road running. It's more important than ultra trail. It's more important than sky running. And your team manager, Tito, is very familiar with both the USA team and the Spanish team. In fact, Tito speaks perfect Spanish. What did Tito tell you about your key rivals in the marathon, and what did you expect? Because, for example, your teammate Silvia Serafini was very familiar with the course, because Silvia had won the course 2 years ago. I was there, and she won on the year of the South American Championship. So what instructions did you have for the race?
You mean Silvia Rampazzo?
As a team, yeah. Sorry, Silvia Rampazzo. My mistake. Okay.
Yeah. So as Oriol said, me and Tito, we were not really concerned about other teams or my opponents. I mean, we were aware that there would be a lot of good people, good athletes running in the World Championship, because it's always like that. But I think everyone must look at his possibilities, and that's what I tried before the race. I was really focused on myself, and I thought my preparation was good. It was very solid, so I was confident that I could run well. And if my preparation is solid, I could stay with the leaders of the race and try to fight for the win. As the race played out in a way that I was expecting, because I expected Jim to push a very strong pace from the beginning, and I tried to follow him, which I managed for a big part of the race, because we were really close. Then at the end it was better, but I think I ran the best race that I could do on that day, so I was totally satisfied.
I don't know about other fans. I had a great time. I enjoyed very much your race. It was very moving to see you fighting it out till the end. But we'll go in detail later. Oriol, it was the first time for you at Patagonia. How important is it that the course for a World Championship is really, on the one hand, attractive for every kind of runner, and also challenging? Because what I think personally, there are a few races which I love. Pikes Peak Marathon that I love. It's got personality, and K42 Patagonia I think also has plenty of personality. And I think for a World Championship it was quite a well balanced race. You had flat stretch, you had steep climb at El Raizal, El Raizal de los cojones, that we would say in Spain. And then you had the snowfields up, and then the downhill with the rock. How did you find the course, Oriol? Was it fun for a sky runner like you?
Yeah, I thought it was more flat. I mean, I was expecting a more flat race. and it was not like that. It was also a lot of uphill, and it was a technical race. I don't know, maybe coming from track and field, it's a technical race, but anyway, for me, I think there's a lot of forest track and easy flat parts, like very runnable. Anyway, I was expecting that, and I think it's a good format. Every race is different, and it's really difficult to find the point between like a true mountain race and a flat race. So we have to put the point somewhere. So I think it was a nice format. There was a lot of things. I mean, a snow part, some technical part. Yes, like I thought it was more uphill. Yeah, it was nice. It was ratonera, no sé cómo. I don't know.
Yeah. It's up and down and plenty of switchbacks.
Yeah, there was a part with it was like this and little ups and downs, and I wasn't used to that, and it was fun. Yeah.
Okay, Francesco, how does it feel when you go to a little tiny village in Patagonia, Villa Langostura, and when you have the parade with the flags, then suddenly under the rain you have like thousands of people that come out of nowhere to cheer and enjoy and celebrate? Because to me that was, it was a great moment. I don't know how you guys felt it with the team to have thousands of people out in the street under the rain to cheer and celebrate. How did it feel?
Yeah, I thought the public was very warm in Argentina. The community of Villa Langostura was totally focused and interested in the race, and they showed us great interest and warmth to welcome us. So it was, I think, it was a great edition of the World Championship, and you could also feel that during the race because in a lot of sections there was someone to cheer you from the public, from the locals. So that was great, I thought. And as far as the track, I also expected it would be faster, but the parts that looked flat on the profile were actually kind of up and down we're very nervous, like in the forest with lots of obstacles and gnarly parts. So it was more difficult because when you see a profile, if you see like straight up or straight down, that's uphill or downhill. But if you see the flat, you don't actually see how nervous it is, and that was a very nervous type of course. So I thought it was a good compromise between a preparation that maybe comes from the road or track and field, and for a sky runner there was a little bit of everything, and that's why I enjoyed it.
Including, remember, the freezing Patagonian rivers. The river crossing, we were discussing with Joe Gray and Grayson Murphy. It was a key passage in the classic race because Andy Douglas was fighting for the win, but he slipped over a bridge, he fell, and just those seconds that he lost was from first place to sixth place. In the long distance race, the huge women favorite, Maude Motis, the Swiss that had the perfect season, record at Sierre-Sinal, record at Pikes Peak, the impossible. She fell all the way into the river. I was there. She fell. And when she got up from the river, I was looking with Jonathan Wyatt, the president, and we both said, Maude is not going to finish the race. And she couldn't finish the race because she was so hypothermic, so cold. How did you feel about this Patagonian thing? Because in any long race in the Patagonia, there's always a freezing, hateful river. ORIOL, how did it feel to you?
We went to recognize the race 2 days before, so we knew there was some rivers to cross and the water, it was really freezing. But during the race, I think if you not fall into the river, there's no problem. The only problem is to have the wet shoes and maybe to ¿cómo se dice? Ampollas.
Blisters.
Maybe it can be some blisters after some time running, but that was the only problem I had from the river.
Okay. Well, now once the race was launched, everybody expected, many people expected Jim to fly away, but not at all. It was a beautiful race with, as you said, basically Jim and Francesco fighting it out. At the start of Cerro Bayo, I was there to watch you guys when you arrived, and Jim was there first, but then on that hateful climb all the way up, Francesco, you managed to pass Jim and you reached Cerro Bayo as world champion, and then they were just 10K to the finish line. What happened then? How did you feel? So you start going down with these switchbacks, and what happened? How did you feel?
Yeah, so at the base of Cerro Baggio, I was probably 20 seconds behind Jim, and I managed to catch him probably halfway through the climb. And in the last part where there was snow on the ground, I was in front of him, and it looked like he was struggling, but I was also at full gas, so I didn't have actually very much energy left because I really pushed that climb. And once we got to the top, I think I had some troubles in the transition between the uphill and the downhill part because with the altitude, and I was also kind of cold and with low energy, and it's difficult to make a transition between the up and down because you have to adapt, and the running technique is very different. And Jim was probably faster than me to adjust to the new type of terrain, while I struggled for a few minutes before I could pick up the pace. So that's how I lost some seconds, and that was the key part of the race, because I lost maybe 30 seconds in the first kilometer of downhill, and then it was like that pretty much until the finish, because at the finish only 40 seconds between there was only 40 seconds between me and Jim, so I lost some precious time in the first part, and then once I got my legs going, I could run pretty much at the same speed as Jim.
Yeah, actually, when I was following the race, I was impressed by how very competitive all of you were, because any little mistake, like Andy Douglas, falling at the bridge, made huge differences. I was also impressed by the consistency of the Spanish team, ORIOL, because we knew that Andreu and Antonio were top 10 from the World Championship in Portugal in June. And we knew that Jan and ORIOL were in great shape because at Sky Pirineo, you both had a great race. But then, as the race was going to that Cerro Bayo, the start of the big climb, the last third of the race, how did you feel? Because you didn't have an easy race. You had stomach problems, but still, Jan, you, and Andreu and Antonio were in very similar time by that part.
Yeah, from my point of view, I didn't see Antonio and Andreu since till the end. So I was really happy because I didn't expect them as soon as they arrived. So it was a really good surprise, and I was like really fun. And during the race, I had some stomachache problems from the middle part to like Cerro Bayo. I had to stop 2 times, and I lost some moments the group. So I saw Jan, and I thought it was doing the last part of the race with me. And when I arrived to the finish line and I didn't saw him. I've been asking for him, and they told me they had some problems. But anyway, for me, the last part of the race, I had some stomachache problems, and once I solved it, I felt really strong during the El Raizal, the last uphill. I was behind the second group. It was like me, Jonathan, and some other guys, and I felt really strong. And I I arrived like third in Cerro Bayo, really far from you, but I was in third position. But anyway, it was really close, Jonathan Albon. And I know him from this summer, and I really know he's a really good and fast guy in the downhill. So it was really probable. There was a lot of chance that he catch me in the downhill. So for me, the last part, it was really crazy. I went on the downhill like a crazy guy, and didn't think a lot and just keep running. And once I arrived in the bus part, the flat part, it was, I don't know, 3 kilometers till the arrive. That was really hard because I didn't have legs, and I wasn't strong like right there. But it was really crazy last part.
Well, and you finished third, bronze medal, and you were ahead of the world champion of ITRA, the guy that had beaten Luis Alberto and all the classic ultra runners in Portugal in a 42 kilometers course, was only fourth in Patagonia. Well, that means that Jim Francesco and Oriol, you probably, obviously you had a great race. Then how did you feel when right after Jonathan, you had Andreu Simon, top 5, and then Antonio Martinez, top 7. I remember we were like, oh, and the Americans, are we going to be world champions or not? How did you feel when you realized that as a team, Spain had beaten the Dream Team USA?
Yeah, I'm sorry to answer this question because I'm coming from ski mountaineering and sky running, and there's not this kind of format like team races like this. I mean, I've been running a lot of races, and all the thoughts are like individual, like only my performance and not as a team. So when they told me, "Oh, you are champions," I said, "Yeah, okay, nice." I mean, I was happier for my third place than for becoming champions with all the team, because I'm not used to race as a team. But anyway, it was a really good experience. After when I realized that what have we done, I was more happier than at the beginning.
Well, Francesco, for the Squadra Azzurra, you got the bronze medal. How did it feel for Tito, for you, for all your team to get the bronze medal? Because the girls couldn't get a medal in the long distance. Was it important for you?
Yeah, of course, the team performance is important. But as Oriol said, I think if everyone performs well individually, then the team result is only a consequence. So I think in the Italian team, not everyone had a great race, but there was a new guy, Gabriele Bacchion, who was 8th, who actually had a very good race. So I was very impressed of him, and he was the second of the Italian team. And also Luca Cagnati ran a good race. So we were able to get the bronze medal, which for us was a good result. Yeah, I mean, it's important maybe to feel close as a team, like before the start, because if you feel close as a team, you feel stronger maybe, and you think maybe that will help during the competition. But we are an individual sport, so the performance is only individual, and it's just you and your possibilities. So an athlete must consider that when he's racing.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Now, 2020 season. I just talked to the local organizing committee for Lanzarote for the World Championship in November. They say that Lanzarote, I mean, the Canary Islands have had a very limited impact from coronavirus, and Lanzarote in particular has had almost no impact. It's a tiny island. It can be very well protected, and they very strongly feel that they can provide a very good World Championship come November. Oriol, it's very difficult for you because probably it will be coming up together, overlapping part of the skimo season. Would you like to be in the team to race again the mountain running World Championship in November at Lanzarote?
Yeah, of course. When I planned this summer, it was one of my main goals that I want to achieve. It was the OCC and then in Lanzarote. So I will try to be there and try to make a good performance anyway. Even if it's close to the skimo season. Right now I've been resting a lot, so I'm not worried about being tired then after the summer. So I will be in both.
For a skier like you, racing by the mountain with the humidity, with the heat of Lanzarote, it's not the perfect course. Have you thought of something to prepare, or not really?
I don't like the running in hot temperatures. I don't have any plan for running in Lanzarote. I will be there training some weeks during this summer at the end of all of this to see a little bit about the zone and everything. It will be my first time there, so I really don't know about the race. And about the temperature and the humidity, I have nothing planned, like more hydration or something like this, but nothing special.
Okay. Francesco, I don't know if you've had the chance to visit Lanzarote before or not. Are you familiar? Have you considered something?
No, I haven't. I've never been there, but I still have to check out what kind of course it is, and also I haven't decided yet if I'm going to run the short course, the classic distance, or the long distance, because I might want to try for the classic, because I also like that format.
Okay. Yesterday, the world champions from the USA told me, even if we are world champions, we do not have a slot guaranteed for Lanzarote, because in the United States, to make the team, they only consider the national trials. This year might be different for them. For Italy, do you have a guaranteed slot as a medalist?
Yeah, I have a guaranteed slot for the long distance, but not for the classic distance. But for me, it's not a problem to go to the trials and try out for the team, because I think the more competition we have, the best team we can pick. So I think the competition between us guys is a good thing, and yeah.
Oriol, have you had a chance to talk to Juan Carlos and say, do you have a guaranteed slot because of your medal?
Yeah, I think like I have a really high possibility of going there. But anyway, I was going to Transvulcania. Right now, it's not they are not keep doing the race because the coronavirus. So I don't know how it will work here in Spain and which will be the race for being classified for going there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, grazie mille, signor Puppi. Moltes gracias, Oriol. And hope to see you both in Lanzarote. It will be a pleasure.
Yeah, for me too. It will be a pleasure to meet you guys there.
Yeah, we just hope the season can resume and that the World Championship can be organized. Maybe after the summer, some races will start to come back again.